don't quit when you don't pass the audition, when you're told no, because if you quit when you're told no, when you're told it's not your time, not you right now, if you quit then, it was never your dream to begin with.
Welcome back to the Samantha Show. I'm your host, Samantha. You can call me Sam, just don't call me Sammy. I've realized that I start to record podcasts around this time of year, like I get into a flow and a groove, because everything slows down for me this time of year. I know for a lot of people, it's like, oh my gosh, things get so crazy. And from like a social event, family thing standpoint, yes, but from all the things that I have going on in my life, typically this time of year actually kind of slows down for me. And I just believe that this time of year presents opportunities for new clean slates, going to try this, going to do that. I am not redoing the podcast or anything, but I did get a nice new camera. Look how nice that looks. Doesn't it look so good? Well, I was reflecting back actually on my podcast setup. When I first started this podcast, remember, like literally the only thing I bought was a mic off of Amazon, and I used Gracie's headphones, and I was like sitting at my desk. So you just got like the background of my office here. And then I moved to this corner. I got the Vocaster for 2 people, and then I got extra mics, and then I learned how to connect my phone for better footage, and then I put this green wall up, and then Joe got me this awesome Samantha Show sign, and now we have like a nice new camera. So look, the podcast is not dead. It's not dead. All right. The podcast episodes just slowly leak when the Lord puts words into my head. That's what I've just said. It's like when the Lord puts an idea in my head, that's when I record a podcast episode. That, or when I've just got something that I got to talk about. And getting back to my original points, like this time of year for me, I always feel so creative. I have a lot of extra time on my hands, and just like the creative juices, the idea of a new year, new opportunities, new clean slate, like just, it gets me so amped up to say, what do I want to do? What do I want to do next? I love that question. That's so big with me. And you know that if you've been following my journey for any period of time, like I'm always like, what are we going to do now? What are we going to do next? I love that. I love the chase. I love the journey of anything that we do in life. I think it's so much fun. That's just truly what motivates me and keeps me going and keeps me thriving, is the idea of always working towards something. I just love that feeling. So that all being said, I had this hankering, this need to talk about the art of giving feedback as it relates to the fitness industry. However, as you know, everything that I talk about in this podcast can be applied toward any industry, truly. What I'm talking about is communication, how to build and develop a team successfully. And a big piece of that is clear communication. And when it comes to giving feedback, that can sometimes be uncomfortable from a management or a leadership role, because we worry about hurting feelings. We worry about confrontation. We worry about what someone might say. We don't know how to say something. We don't know how to give feedback. Maybe we personally like someone, but we're concerned about their work performance, and we don't know how to articulate that in a way that it won't feel offensive or personal. And what I want to share with you guys today is the skill that I have developed through my years with CycleBar on their education team, is the art of giving feedback. And there are ways that you can do it that are very effective and can help your team not only learn, but grow and receive that feedback and feel empowered to apply that feedback so that they can keep doing their best. Before we get into all that good stuff, let me give you just a quick life update, because it has been a minute since the podcast. The last podcast episode I did was the Rating the Studios in South Carolina, which went over great. You guys know I've become so obsessed with this gym, Core 4, down in the Mount Pleasant, South Carolina area. And they were so great. I've connected with them on social media. I shared my podcast episode with them because they truly just had such a great thing going on and things like that. So that was the last episode that I did. This is what's coming up for me in 2026. Look, I'm working regularly now at XO. I'm teaching about 10 classes a week there, strength and conditioning, which is fantastic. Working a couple days at the Appliance Gallery with my husband. And that's really my set work schedule. But you know, I got so many passion projects, right? So when summer hits, spring hits, we are back with the Dragons again this year, doing some in-game hosting. They got me taking some improv classes that start in a week and a half. So I'm going to do some improv classes. Still with Heyman Talent Agency, putting my name out there, sending in auditions, hoping I get booked for some commercial modeling with doing that stuff. The podcast, when it feels fit, recording some episodes there, as well as starting to write a book. What? I am not a writer. You know what I did when I was in college? Fuke Deo, if he ever hears this, he probably won't. But there was this guy in my class named Fuke Deo. He was so cool. He was so much fun. And Fuke would like literally write my English papers for me if I drank with him before class. So we would drink beer in like the dorms and in like the parking garage. And then we would go to class, English class at 8 a.m. And he was like, yeah, I'll do your papers for you. Sorry, honestly. But we had a great time and I passed college. It's fine. So it's good. But now I'm going to write a book. So I hope that I picked up on some of those writing skills, or I might need to call Fuke and trade some drinks for him to write it. But I'm going to write a book, y'all. I really have wanted to do this for a long time. This is not just an overnight, like, oh, I should write a book. I have thought about it for almost the whole past year, if not longer. But the timing never felt right. I've always had so much going on, you know, the Mrs. Ohio America pageant, and then teaching all the time, figuring out what I'm doing with my life, this, that, and the other. But now that I have actually, believe it or not, have a pretty solid routine in my weeks and days and nothing really like big else going on, I'm like, now's the time. Like, now's the time to take my story and put it on paper and write this book. So I will talk more about it maybe in another episode, what this writing experience looks like, but it will be a teaching memoir. It'll be my experience from 2017 to 2019, going from a non-passing audition to a master instructor title with Cycle Bar. And it will be all the things and the elements that I learned along the way that truly have contributed now to my future success with the Mrs. Ohio America pageant and really finding my confidence and believing I can take on, you know, things like public speaking and all these other things that I'm doing. And so really excited just to share the nitty gritty details of that experience, put it in a book that feels like a story that you guys can relate to and enjoy. So yeah, that's coming. It'll be a process. I know. I've rewritten chapter 1 twice already. I'm halfway through chapter 2 and I'm sure I'm about to rewrite it all again. So I can tell it's going to take a lot of time, but very, very excited for that. So that's the catch up with me. Let's talk about the art of giving feedback. Why does feedback make us so uncomfortable? Not only to receive, but like feedback is hard to give. And in my experience, I have found that there are instructors who are fantastic instructors, but then fail at being leaders to an instructor team because they don't know how to coach and lead and give feedback to their team. And that's what I want to really give to you. If you're in a leadership role or you're a manager or a studio owner or you're just a boss at another business and you have performance reviews coming up, and literally you can apply any of this to these different ideas and concepts and places. So the first point that I want to touch on is clarity. Clarity in your communication. This is not just about feedback. This is in literally everything you do in life. Please be clear, especially when it comes to a work environment. So again, I'm going to speak from a fitness studio gym point of view, but in any job, clarity, let me rephrase this, lack of clarity tends to be the root of all conflict and issues. It's just a lack of understanding what someone else was trying to say or what someone else is feeling or what someone else has experienced causes conflict. And when you speak very clearly and we do our best to do it without emotion, then so much more often we can find resolution, success, or just better communication, which then allows everybody to get their job done, to understand what they need to be doing, where they need to be going, and all these different pieces. So when we're looking at feedback and you have someone on your team and you need to give them feedback, you have got to communicate the feedback clearly. Here are examples of not clearly communicating. This is one I see all the time. There's someone on your team, one person, let's say you have 5 instructors and there's one person on the team who is doing something incorrectly. Instead of addressing that person directly, a text or message or email gets sent out to the whole team. For example, reminder everyone, put the batteries back onto the battery charger at the end of the night. Well, let's say all of your instructors are doing that, but one person keeps not putting the batteries back. And then the other instructors get there the next day and all these pieces, and then the batteries just aren't charged. And instead of going to the person who just keeps forgetting to put those batteries back on the charger, a general blanket text gets sent out to the whole team. Don't forget to put the batteries back on the charger. Well, everybody's thinking on your team, well, I do that. And then your team starts to kind of question themselves. Well, was it me who left them off? Did I not put it on there? And then sometimes the person who really needs to hear the feedback just totally missed the text message because it was just in the group chat and they didn't see it. So it's not being clearly communicated. Here's another example. Sending a text to the entire team. Hey guys, just a reminder, we don't play explicit music in class. Okay, well, who played explicit music in class? Did I play an explicit song in class? I don't think I did. And then again, is the person who needs to be hearing this feedback totally getting missed? So that's one area where I see a lack of really clear communication. It's just not talking to the person that you need to talk to on the team that's having the issues. Starters. The second area where we can bring in more clear communication is not beating around the bush. Let's use the explicit music example again. Okay. Instead of saying, hey, Tommy, we got some feedback that you've been playing explicit music in class. Just a reminder that the lyrics need to be clean. Let's look for the clean versions. Do you need any help finding some clean versions of songs? Like, you can always reach out to me, right? So it's very clear, very direct. Tommy, someone is complaining about the explicit music in class. Okay. So that's very clear to Tommy. What we don't want to do is go to our instructor and say, hey, Tommy, good job putting like your playlist together. I really like them. Yeah. Always make sure, they're clean. We always want to find the clean music, and things like that. But yeah, great job. Like, you're doing such a good job with your music. Like, everybody's like really loves it. We just have to remember to keep it clean. That's not clear that we actually have an issue with explicit lyrics. So we have a member who's complaining. So when we look at what we say to our instructors, just being very direct. Sometimes direct feels harsh, but if it is objective feedback, someone has complained about the explicit lyrics that are in the music you're playing in class. That is very clear and very objective. It is the truth without any room for question in that. And so when we give feedback, as long as it's objective and it's clear and it's direct, maybe Tommy feels a little embarrassed, or maybe that instructor feels a little uncomfortable. Oh man, they'll get over it. They'll be fine. And if they can't, that's their own personal growth opportunity. But we have to be clear in what we say and what we communicate. What are the issues going on? Now, one thing that was taught to me early on in my career as a trainer of trainers when it comes to being direct with feedback is what we call the opportunity sandwich. The opportunity sandwich. And that would be something that's going well, telling your instructor something that's going well, opportunity for growth, and then another compliment or something else that's going well, so that the area for feedback feels supported by other things that they're doing well. That way they don't feel attacked. Now, everything is very clear in what we say, but we're sandwiching the maybe harsher feedback or things that may be harder for them to hear with two compliments so that they do know that they're doing well. And what we also want to do, though, is make sure that those compliments don't contradict the feedback that we're giving there in the middle. So if you say, kind of like I just did in my example, everyone loves your music. Just remember to keep it clean. We always want to make sure it's clean and no bad words, but you're doing such a great job in class. Like, so-and-so loved that song you played the other day. This is very confusing feedback because you're saying everybody likes the music, but keep it clean because maybe you've heard something from someone, but like also, Betty loved that song you played in class. Betty loves all the good music. Betty loves that. Like, it just gets very like watered down because we're afraid to be very direct. But if we say something like, your coaching on the mic has been fantastic lately. We've heard really great things, that you're very easy to understand and you're giving such clear cues. So great job with that. Just an FYI, we have received feedback about your music. There's some concerns about the explicit lyrics making people feel uncomfortable. As a reminder, you always need to be playing clean music in class, no explicit music. Also, I do want to compliment you on being a team player. I really appreciate you stepping up to the plate and subbing for Bob the other day and Ruth I'm really coming up with the fun names here today. Bob and Ruth. So thank you for being such a great team player and picking up some extra shifts last week. So very clearly, like where they're going well, opportunity to fix the explicit music, and good job being a team player. So everything is very clear and it doesn't get watered down, but that feels like a good conversation. So then that instructor can leave and say, okay, I'm doing some things really good. And yeah, I can adjust the explicit music thing. That's not a big deal. So that's what we call the opportunity sandwich there, feedback sandwich, whatever kind of sandwich you want to call it, peanut butter jelly sandwich. I don't know. But giving that feedback, that opportunity for growth supported by some compliments around it, as long as they don't contradict each other. And that's the key one, and keeping it very clear, very objective, very truthful in it. Here is another piece of advice in the sense of the communication and the clarity in our feedback. Keep it short. Keep it short. Like if it can be short, let's not water down what is going on here. Again, we start to talk because we get nervous and we don't want to say what's wrong. We start saying all this other stuff that like it becomes this huge conversation for something that really doesn't need to be. And then all of a sudden the feedback is lost in all this other chatter. So keeping it short, keeping it direct. Here's my another piece of advice when it comes to giving someone feedback. Timeliness. Timeliness. Do not sit your instructor down a month after an incident, 2 months after an incident, and talk to them about it. Timeliness. Like if you come to me and talk to me about something I did in class a month and a half ago that you want to coach me on, y'all, that ship sailed. Here, I'm gonna even shorten that timeline. You have a week tops to address an issue that you have witnessed or experienced in class that needs to be fixed. A week tops. And I still think that's generous. I think it needs to be 48 hours. Okay. But here's the other catch. Let's say you're an instructor and you're going to evaluate or you're taking someone's class. If there's something little and quick that they can fix and you want to give a little feedback, that's fine. However, if you're about to lay into an instructor about all these things that they got going on, let's not do it immediately after class. Like, let's let them catch their breath for a minute, okay? And then we can open up that opportunity, that door for conversation by saying something like, hey, you know what, I had a great time in your class today, but I've got some feedback for you and I want to give that feedback to you while everything is still fresh. Is there a time tomorrow that I can give you a call? Boom. There you go. 24 hours later. But again, still the compliment out of the gate there, just to kind of calm their nerves. Cause you know, it's like when the boss says, or the lead instructor says, hey, we got to talk, you know, that always feels a little uncomfortable. So giving a compliment, hey, I had a good time in class today, but I do have some things I want to talk to you about. Just some tips, some advice that I think are going to help class run smoother or flow better, whatever that may be. So I would love to chat with you within the next 24 hours if you can, just so that we can talk about while it's fresh. You know, you want to give it to them while it's fresh too. Timeliness is so important. So like if you're going to do like instructor evaluation, you know what, I really believe that you need to have that conversation within 24 to 48 hours after you've experienced their class. Here is my next tip with the art of giving feedback. Leave your emotions out of it. I am an emotional person. I really am an emotional person. Leave your emotions out of it. When it comes to giving feedback, when it comes to training, when it comes to coaching, remove the emotion. It is facts, baby. Again, I'm going to use this word, objective, because I believe in objective feedback. And sometimes there's room for subjective feedback for suggestions and thoughts and feelings. But objectively, this is what happened in class and this is what needs to be done to improve it, period. There's really no emotion behind it. It's just is what it is. So that's big with that is really checking your emotions. Now, if something has happened that has triggered you emotionally and the instructor needs to be spoken to about it, that's when you have to give yourself that 24 hours to catch your breath so you can collect your thoughts so that you can communicate professionally and clearly that emotion aside. You can get your facts in order, you can get your information in order, and so you can clearly communicate that. Speaking of getting your facts in order when it comes to giving feedback, have your facts, have your notes, have real life examples so that when you're giving feedback, you have real examples to tie the feedback to. If you say, hey, you know what, you're showing up late all the time, and they're like, when was the last class that I showed up late to? And you're like, I heard that you're showing up late. What are the facts? What day? What day? Wednesday last week, 6 p.m. You didn't show up until 10 minutes before class started. You're supposed to be there 30 minutes before. Like, you got to have the facts written down clearly to support the feedback. Otherwise, it gets a little subjective at times. Is this an opinion, or do you have something to back this up? So get your information, your facts in order, in a line, write things down. That's one thing that a lot of people seem to miss when leading and coaching a team. It's you need to keep track records of things. You need to write things down so that you have a fact, so that when you get to the day and you realize somebody's just not working out for your team, you have the paper trail. Right? It's not just like, well, all this stuff always goes wrong. You know, they're always late and they're playing explicit music and they're not taking my feedback and yada, yada. Did you write it all down? How many conversations did you have with them? Like, what is that paper trail? You have got to keep these notes as a leader, as a manager, so that you have everything on paper, so that whether you're going to coach them and give them feedback or whether you're making a really tough decision to let them go, you have your reasons on your hand. Write it down on your hand in pen. On your hand, you just read it off your hand. No, I'm just kidding. Having all of that information right there is really helpful. And then that should like calm your nerves too, because you have everything you need right there. When it comes to giving feedback, if you're headed into a conversation with someone on your team, an instructor, what do they need to do to fix it? Do you have solutions for them? Can you offer to help them? So let's go back to explicit music. Now, in my head, should be able to find the clean music, right? But I'm going to assume maybe he can't. Maybe he's having trouble finding it. Sometimes on Spotify, it's hard to find the clean versions of songs. So I may say something like, you know, hey, we're getting feedback. We got a couple comments about class last week and there being explicit lyrics. It's making people feel uncomfortable. As a reminder, we always need to be playing clean music in class. Are you having trouble finding the clean versions? Are you using SoundCloud? Like, what are the issues that you're running into when looking for clean music? Maybe I can help find some workarounds. Boom. It's how can I help you? When you come to someone who is receiving feedback, especially when it's like correction feedback or coaching feedback, and you're offering to help them and look for solutions, that's going to feel better on their end. It's not just like, you did this wrong, figure it out. I hate that kind of management. This is happening. Let's talk about how we can fix it together. Like, how can I support you to help you figure out what's going on? When you come to a conversation of feedback as a partner and someone that is there to support them, you are the lead instructor or you are the manager, you are there to support their growth. And it feels like that in the conversation, it's going to be so much better received than an attack in a conversation, or I'll figure it out. Which kind of leads me to my next point of performance plans for instructors. Let's say you have an instructor and their class numbers have just been slipping, and this is not consistent across the studio. Like, this is very clearly consistent with this instructor. So you take their class, you see a whole handful of issues going on. Maybe you can see that they're not connecting well with the room. Their cues are very unclear, and maybe their music is kind of a flop. Music, I will say, is always subjective. However, there can be best practices that we use in the fitness industry. But let's say you notice these three things, which can be very major in an instructor struggling to build their following or even losing people coming to their class. So you sit down, you have a conversation with them. You say, hey, these are the three main things. We want to put together a performance plan because I want to keep you on the team. Maybe you like this person, you see their potential, but you see that they're struggling. If you want to keep them on their team, then you have to give them tangible things to work toward. This is my biggest issue when I have worked with studios and managers and lead instructors. It's like, we have this person who's struggling. And I'll say, where are they struggling? And they'll name it very clearly. And I'll say, what goals did you give them? What support did you give them to make them better in those areas? And then once you gave them that support and you gave them these things to work toward and you gave them these resources, what did that timeline look like to where you said, hey, this is what I need to see. I need to see a 3% growth in your utilization in the next month, or else we may have to reevaluate the schedule, the classes that you're teaching, the class times, or else we have to find another instructor because this is a business and we need to see these classes grow. And just, again, being so clear with that, but giving them tangible goals, tangible tools to use, tangible resources, a real timeline, a check-in date, all of these pieces and it comes, you know what this comes back to? Point number one, clear communication. What are you looking for? What do you need? What do you want? What are the issues? What is going on? That, my friends, is the art of feedback. It's just clear communication. It is being supportive. It's wanting to see your team succeed. And that's such a big piece of this. If you're a lead instructor and you truly are a leader, and that's the difference too, where I say, I have seen a lot of great instructors who are not good leaders of teams, because there's a difference. When you're a leader of a team, again, fitness instructor team here, you want your team to succeed, but this is also true in any other job. If you're a good manager, you want your team to succeed. You want to teach them. You want to help them grow. You want to give them resources. You want to utilize them in the best way that you can. So, this is so big when you're a leader. You're a partner with each person on your team. So giving feedback is opportunities for them to grow. And my last piece here with giving feedback is do not overwhelm people. Because when you overwhelm someone with feedback, you can really shut down their confidence. And the easiest way to kill an instructor's success is to destroy their confidence. Hands down. As soon as an instructor feels they're not capable or they don't have the confidence to do what we do successfully, they will flat out fail. You have got to be confident to do what we do in the fitness industry. And so when we give feedback, even if it's someone who maybe needs a lot of coaching, you have to pick the most important pieces first. I would say no more than 3 areas of work ever, until you see the growth in those 3 areas and they're continuing to work on it, continue to get better. Then you move on to the next piece, because if you overwhelm someone, you may lose them. And if you are a good leader and you want them on your team, you don't want that. You don't want to defeat someone, because that too as well will stall their growth. Again, if they feel shaky in their confidence, if they don't feel like they're winning, if they're not reaching mini milestones, if they're not getting positive reinforcement from you, they're going to burn out, tap out, give up, not believe in themselves, not grow, not succeed, all these bad things that happen when we don't have confidence. Don't overwhelm when you're giving feedback, when you're coaching your team, when you're, giving them things to work towards. So, hopefully some of these points hit. Some of these points made sense to you. One of the worst things you can do with your team is not communicate to them, not give feedback, not talk to them. Leave them hanging. Lack of clarity. What's happening? What's going on? What's happening with the schedule? We hired somebody just shows up all of a sudden, like no communication. Don't leave your people in the dark. Don't leave your team in the dark with communication. Look, you don't need to show them your financials. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying just communicate with them. Let them know if they're doing well. Let them know how the studio's doing generally. Let them know what your goals are from a membership base. Let them know what your goals are as a lead instructor. What are the utilization goals that you want to see? And then give them tools. How can we do this as a team? Make it a team growth opportunity here. Clear communication. Communicate, my friends. Talk. When you don't communicate, it becomes the root of all issues in everything in life. I'll tell you, in everything in life. When you don't communicate, when people don't communicate, that's the root of all issues. I'll say it. That's what I think. Y'all got to talk. We got to talk about it. Okay. We got to talk about it. We got to be understanding. We got to be polite. Anyway, getting a little silly here. Hopefully that helps you. If you ever have questions about giving feedback or a specific scenario, maybe even with an instructor at your team, open door. You can come talk to me anytime. I have coached and trained hundreds, if not thousands, instructors around the country, and I have dealt with all kinds of personalities. And what I have found that 99.999% of the time, when you are clear and you remove emotion and you are very objective in what the issues are, what the opportunities are, you give resources, you can get through to just about any personality. Really can. You can, but you have to be able to approach it in a very organized, clear, clean manner. So hopefully that helps the next tough conversation you have, or the next time you need to give feedback, or if instructor evals are coming up. And if you're not running instructor evals with your team, you better be. You should be doing it every 90 days. Every 90 days, written evaluation, what that process looks like. You can customize and tailor to your own studio's needs, but you got to be watching your team. You got to be doing regular evaluations. It's the only way that we can help them grow. You can help them grow and get better. So hopefully that gives you some tips, some tricks. And the next time the Lord puts something on my heart to talk about, this related usually, I'll do another podcast episode. I hope you have a great day. A happy new year. And how do I end my podcast? You deserve it.